So just to recap, what we did this morning is we installed our Super Smart board, which is insulation, high density cover board, and an SPS modified, all factory laminated together in our DUOTACK 365 adhesive. We hot air weld the laps, put some laps on. This afternoon what we're going to do is we're going to install the PVC membrane in spatter pattern of DUOTACK SPF, and then we'll show you how to use the same product and install it with ribbons to set insulation boards. So I'll turn this over to Eric, and he can get started with the narration.
Thank you, Kurt. As Kurt mentioned, the product we're going to be demoing here is our DUOTACK SPF. First of all, what you're going to see Brad doing is he's simply just shaking the canisters just to ensure that we have proper mixes throughout each of the canisters. The other integral part is conditioning the material, meaning that they are conditioned for 24 hours at a minimum of 70 degrees. Since these are pressurized canisters, if they get too cold, it could affect the pressure rates, which then it could affect the mix ratio at the tip. So this product is based off of Supreme's DUOTACK insulation adhesive that's been modified to be pressurized into a canister for two specific applications. The first is a spatter application for a synthetic PVC membrane. This is our Sentinel fleece back membrane, and this is going over top now of an SBS base ply. And what Alan is going to show here is the spatter effect, where we're actually pushing the material out through the hose, getting about 60% coverage on the surface. And what happens is, as we roll the membrane into place, we're going to spread that adhesive out, and we're going to end up closer to 90% coverage of the surface. If you notice the membrane, the application of the membrane, we actually barn door it, meaning that we pull the membrane half onto itself and apply the adhesive down the length of the sheet. And then right now they are rolling the membrane into place, and then they're going to follow that by a weighted roller. Then what we're able to do is take the membrane and peel it back onto itself. This is going to ensure that we don't have any of the foam adhesive coming in contact with the laps, the side laps that are going to be welded, and that way we're keeping those safe. So now we're just going to simply do the other side of the membrane. Again, about 60% coverage of the surface. And again, that's going to get you closer to 90% once the membrane is pushed into place. And you notice he's just holding the gun and the tip about 2 to 3 feet above the surface of the roof, so pretty comfortable ergonomic position for rooftop application. And then again, we follow up with a broom and a weighted roller to push the membrane to make sure we get it in contact with the substrate. In this application, we're going over an SBS base ply. This can go over an existing smooth surface or modified bitumen roof for a recover application. Also acceptable to numerous installations and cover boards. So it could be used not only in a multi-ply system with an SBS base ply, but as a single layer in itself. And Mike right here is simply just rolling it into place, again, making sure we have full contact. Well, some of the feedback we've gotten is the use or having one product that does two things or both things on the roof, and that's insulation as well as membrane. So we showed the membrane application, but what we want to show here is the insulation application. And simply what we're going to do is lower the height of the gun, and we're going to put this down in a ribbon or a bead application, about 2-inch wide ribbons, spaced about 12 inches apart, 12 inches on center. And then we're going to simply set the insulation directly into the adhesive. So what's really cool about this kit, we're getting about 30 squares of coverage per kit, both in insulation adhesive and membrane adhesive. So you're able to perform both with one kit at 30 squares per unit. A quick note on the insulation, you notice that we're using 4x4 insulation boards, which is what we would recommend. And then on the cover boards, we can actually go to 4x8s. So you have the ability to use the 4x8 cover boards.
Eric, we have a little bit of leeway with this as far as adjusting our insulation boards.
Yes, there is some leeway with adjusting the boards. With most foam adhesives, when you push the insulation down, you collapse the cells of the structure, and therefore you really can't reposition the material. With ours, it has a special collapsing capability that once we push it down, we're actually able to reposition and still get good adhesion, or proper adhesion, as opposed to just collapsing the cells and losing that adhesion property. And what Alan's doing here is simply, he's actually just draining the hoses out. When you're done with the kit, you basically just take and you drain the hose out to make sure the kits are totally drained. And then there's just a little punch out valve. You knock it out with a screwdriver and hammer, and then they could go right into the landfill.
So to recap the demonstration, we installed our Sentinel fleece back PVC in a spatter pattern of DUOTACK SPF. Using the same product, we were able to install ribbons and adhere insulation boards down. So
another thing with the kits, what makes them really cool is you have a job and you use half the kit. What do? All you got to do is simply open up the box, close the valve, and leave the stuff in the hose and remove the tip. It's very simple. And then you could just store it and then just make sure it's conditioned, so the next time you want to reuse it, you shake it and you're ready to go. So it's really nice that it's not has to be used once you open it and once you start applying it. It can be reused at a later date.
Any questions?
The price? Special show price for you. We can talk about it when I'm done, okay? No, it's very, very competitive. It is the delivery mechanism with the canisters does raise it over traditional bag-in-a-box type applications, so there's a little bit of premium for that, but you don't have to worry about equipment breaking down or anything of that sort. It's all self-contained. You don't lose that time on the job if you run into those situations. So that's where the value is in this type of delivery mechanism.
Eric, the question was what's the cure time? How long before it sets up?
The cure time, it's going to take 24 to 48 hours to fully set. But right now, if you peel it back, it's going to be wet. It is a chemical cure, so there's a chemical reaction going on, so it will take some time to set. But if you lift it up right now, it would still be wet. You come back later at the end of the show, you peel it up, it'll still be a little wet as well. But over the next 24 or 48 hours, it'll totally cure. But you come back later in 4 or 5 hours, you try to peel it back, it's stuck.
Any other? Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
The question was 30 squares sounds like a lot of coverage, and what kind of improvement is that off of the previous product? This product was never in a pressurized canister. This was in a bag-in-a-box type application. I could say most other cylinder type applications are yielding about 20, some are more. So 30 is, I would say, at the higher end compared to most.
Again, thank you very much for attending the demonstration. We have one more demonstration this afternoon. That'll be at 3:30, and we'll be demonstrating our self-adhered modified bitumen products. Please come back. We appreciate it. Thank you.